curly until I grew up. My hair was straight when I was a little girl. So she put my hair in like those kind of straight, wavy pigtails where you put the oil on and it looked all shiny and stuff. That was my hair. And I was proud of it. My mom prayed over my braids and told me, "You're Indian, you're like a copper penny." And them copper colored kids, eating that red dirt. That's my indigeneity, is my connection to the red dirt of Mississippi and the land. And the medicine, the roots in the ground. My grandmother was called a witch doctor. Not my grandmother, because she knew different recipes. My great-great-grandmother didn't get along. My great-great-great-grandmother, because she was a Chickasaw war chief. And she was like, "Oh, the baby came out too dark." Like, what? How you gonna be like, well, she ain't gonna get the same treatment as the rest of us. Like, and we have this thing, and so it's easy to hold grudges. It's easy to be like, "Oh no, Native American people, they sold us out, yada, yada, yada. We're African." Man, I'm African, but I'm also Native American. Just because my family didn't get along, I mean, I gotta be the bigger person. I gotta break the curse. I gotta break the curse of judgment. I'm not gonna do it my great-great-great. I'm the only thing that she gets to live through in my DNA. So she along for the ride. That's why it's important to do the work. Because we can take them places with us. And Tellus and I had that in common. Okay. We were taking our ancestors on sojourns. So somebody in my bloodline really had some problems. A lot of people had some problems. And the thing about feeding your ancestors is, you just fatten them up for the slaughter. If you're not taking them up and asking them about what they think about life, you hold all their belief systems, no matter how messed up, in your body. So it's important and imperative for us to not just feed them, not just respect them, but help them to be better. Because they're the ones coming back through. And they can't come back till they let go of their old stories. So you in traffic on Highway 5 trying to get to the destination. You're like, we can't come through because we carrying all this baggage and it can't come through you. And so that is the work. Being Native American African is like saying we are full circle. We left Africa, went through Asia, visited Siberia, got away from the Ice Age, came to America 20,000 years ago, settled up, migrated south, and now we ain't family no more? What the hell? Y'all forgot that quick. So this is what this is about. Tellus want me to educate, so I'm going to educate, because a lot of us don't really know our history. We know parts of stories that we heard from certain elders who have certain opinion about things. The prejudice in the black community towards Native Americans is just as prevalent as the Native Americans toward black people. And I've experienced a myriad. The black people in my neighborhood didn't call me black. They're like, "You mixed something. Your hair too straight. You ain't like us. You can't hang out with us." I had no friends when I was a kid who were black. All my friends were white and Asian. I went to a church that was all black church. And I can't remember one single kid who really wanted to associate with me because I was light-skinned and I had straight hair and I was doing weird stuff. I was going outside and looking at rocks, and I walked like this. I was walking with my face to the ground for many, many, many years. I couldn't understand why. I would reach down and pick something up, and I'd be like, "Mom, look." She'd be like, "Throw that thing away." And finally she got cool with it. She was like, "Okay. You know what? I think there's something to this." She started taking me to a rock shop when I was like 4 years old. She's like, "You like rocks? Okay. All right, we'll go to the library." She taught me to read when I was 3 years old. She was sounding out the vowels when I was 1. My mom had flashcards. She homeschooled me all the way. So I got an education unlike any other, and based on that generation of 90s kids. My black parents made the sacrifice to quit their jobs. Even my dad taking time off work to take me to college with him, so I would know how to operate on a college campus before I turned 10 years old. And so when I talk to folks like Tellus, I feel like I'm at home with someone who understands the struggle of having black and Native American prejudice. And not understanding why. Not understanding why you never really fit in, why you do certain things, why you want certain, why you crave certain things, why you want to eat dirt. There's a history that's inbred to us that is not strictly African. Now, a lot of people who came from Africa had a different ideology of that was very African, whereas the Native American people had gotten very comfortable on this land. And so a lot of people from Africa didn't even really feel home in America. And there's a good reason for that. It's not home. But a lot of us, we came out knowing things about the land that we shouldn't have had any knowledge of. And that's part of what bridging the gap between Afro and indigenous is all about. Like, well, Africans are indigenous. Well, yeah, but we're also indigenous to this land. We've been here for 20,000 years. And that ain't nothing to sneeze at. Just because Africa goes back hundreds and hundreds of millions of years, those same people who go back that long came here as well. Before Columbus, before all that settlement, before the colonization, before certain native groups showed up on boats, some of us came here on foot and settled in Oregon, settled in the Pacific Northwest, and have roots to the mushrooms that are the first stop coming across the land bridge through Alaska. Okay, we found mushrooms all the way down the Pacific North Coast. There are footprints. Some of the earliest footprints in our country are up there and down in New Mexico. Goes back 20,000 years, 25,000 years, and guess what else you find? Oh, well, I'm not going to give that away. I'm going to teach about it.
That's right.
Racial ambiguity. Prior to the 20th century, U.S. Census lumped diverse groups together, leading to misclassifications. Racial ambiguity. Many Native Americans were labeled as black and mulatto due to mixed heritage or biases of census takers. Misclassification led to skewed demographic data impacting policies and perceptions of Native American communities. And we're still fighting for a right to belong. You can go back to Africa and see people who kind of look like her, but that's mixed right there. That ain't just African. We're always keenly aware of our African ancestry, says Grace in 51. Part of her native lineage was Creek. I always knew that we were Creek. I always knew that we were Chickasaw. Even though some of my family members didn't like us, there were a lot of family members that loved us. But there was a small group that was very racist. For more than 40 years, Black Creek descendants like Rhonda Grayson have been fighting to regain citizenship in the Creek tribe. Because their lineage also harks back to the dark days of chattel slavery, they would be members of the Creek Nation and be shut out. In a year marked by historic uprisings in support of Black lives, these Black Native Americans say now is the time to acknowledge their rights too. So we're still fighting for civil rights of our native roots. The late 1700s was when the tribe really began to pick up on Black enslavement, says Elena E. The Creek Nation adopted child slavery as a strategic effort to ally with white settlers by assimilating to their culture. We said, well, if they keep slaves, then we can keep slaves. We can keep slaves better than they can. We'll just marry the slaves, and we'll call them slaves. And we're going to have a bunch of Black and Native American babies. That's the story of my family tree right there. I come from James Smith. You know, Smith family in Atlanta? That's my family. We are one of the largest Native American and Black families in this country. And we go deep. Me and Taylor probably cousins. I was telling Anna, I'm like, y'all from Dallas? Y'all in the South? Yeah. Most of us are cousins and cousins of each other. Back in the day, it used to be required to get a blood test because we didn't know who done went somewhere and God said, you get a blood test? You know, like that boy? Okay, well, you better get a blood test. Like, well, why? Well, what if he your cousin? And that just straight up. And it ain't because we liked our cousins, it's because we got split up. And so we were all over the world, all over the United States, dating each other. So people often think about the Trail of Tears, but they never think about the folks of African descent. They suffered loss just like the full-blood Indians suffered loss. About 2,400 Creek people were removed on the Trail of Tears by the 1860s and held 1,600 people in bondage. Historians estimate that 8,000 to 10,000 Black people were enslaved by various tribes in the Indian Territory. We walked the Trail of Tears with them. That's what you don't hear. I have this deep, unreal, unearthly connection to selves of mine, spirits in my blood that speak. Some people say, you change sometimes. Yeah, I change sometimes. Sometimes my face go black and white and rattles come out. And it's time for you to get to talking. There are Heyoka in me. There are medicine men and women in me. There's a woman with a bone bead necklace. Comes straight up roaring through my body on around 7 grams. And then she danced and split me into 1,000 different versions of myself. I remember the first time I learned how to do the dance of Isis. Well, you know what? My great-grandmother taught me that dance. We forget so quickly. We walked a trail of tears. So that means something to me. When you have brothers and sisters and if something happens to them, what is the blackest thing to do? We saw in Alabama, the guy had the chair, defending him. We gonna jump in with him. We're like, oh shit, get him. Black natives, well, that was husband. That was May's wife. That was Johnny's girlfriend. That was so-and-so's cousin. Like, you walk trail of tears? All right, you gotta leave. We leaving with you because we're family now. There's an intermixing happening. This was me and Chief. We got our medicine bag. He got his neck knife. He got his feathers on. We were out in Miami. This was in Detroit. I want to show what Black Indigenous people look like because some of y'all think we all just black because you got black skin. This is Amber Starks. I came across her work on the Our Ancestors Know Who We Are website. She is an enrolled citizen of the Muscogee Creek Nation and is of Shawnee, Yuchi, and Quapaw descent. Her passion is the intersection of Black and Native identity. Stark's activism seeks to normalize, affirm, and uplift the multidimensional identities of Black and Native people through discourse and advocacy around Black liberation, Indigenous sovereignty, anti-Blackness, and abolishing blood quantum. She hopes to encourage Black and Indigenous peoples to prioritize one another and divest from compartmentalizing struggles. People don't know how much it hurts me to hear when people who look light-skinned or dark-skinned colorism in our community is a double-edged sword because it's our forgotten history. This is Rosalind Brown. She grew up as another ancestor of the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma, was an advocate of Cherokee citizenship for freedmen descendants, like herself, like me. In 2013, she received the Cherokee Nation Community Leadership Award. Talk about, they still racist. No, a lot of Afro-Indigenous Black folks working inside the nation, in the offices, processing the paperwork now. Her baskets and other artwork have been exhibited in the Cherokee Heritage Museum. Our hidden sacrifices. During the Indian Removal Act of 1830, thousands of African Americans, enslaved and freed, voluntarily traveled west with their native counterparts along the Trail of Tears. Voluntarily. Unfortunately, Black Native Americans often lack proper documentation, resulting in unclear ancestral origins. And you think, because you got stopped by a cop, you scared because of what happened to the shootings. No, you scared all the way back to the Stone Age, because this ain't new. Not having documentation, that's like 3 generations of trauma right there. Undocumented immigrant, constantly getting harassed. That's something that is in African and Native American history. A lot of people think, well, I just want to identify as African. I ain't African American, I'm African. Like, they call us African American because it's a slur. They think you want to identify with the continent that sold you off. That's a slur. We're just indigenous. Our ancestors are earth, wind, fire, and sky. Our unique struggle. A lot of people want me to pick a side. Like, you're trying to be too native. Both African American, Native American communities have faced oppression, forced migrations, and cultural erasure throughout the U.S. history by Black people, and white people, and Native people. We got 3 sides against us sometimes. We have, through slavery, intermarriage, and shared experience, have given rise to individual dual ancestry. Over time, societal norms and policies have sometimes forced these individuals to choose one identity over the other, particularly for bureaucratic, or legal reasons. That's what me and Tellus faced. When we take mushrooms, we were always learning and relearning the technology from our ancestors direct. Some people don't got them ancestors, so they don't understand it. Just because your ancestors don't walk a certain way, maybe you connect to Kemet more because you're disconnected from your native ancestry, because the same stuff that we was doing in Kemet was being done in the United States 20,000 years ago. Those with dual heritage might experience discrimination from multiple fronts. They may face racism common to the African American community and prejudices directed toward Native Americans. Within either community, they might face skepticism or questioning about the authenticity of their identity. I'm so sick of people who aren't Native telling me about my history. Oh, okay, so you heard from a black person that this shit died out. Okay, that's fine. We'll let you think that, because we're protecting it. It's still alive. A lot of white people are carrying the history. And it's my job to praise my ancestors to go and get it back from them. Somebody gotta do it. I've made sacrifices. Where's Virginia at? Virginia Lynn, are you here? She out here? I've traveled with Virginia and one of Virginia's partners, Chaheka. Chaheka's name is Red Vulture. My name would have been White Vulture. Does that sound similar? History of Nekbet in Egypt, White Vulture. I pick people apart. I'm very careful about how I pick them apart. I pick them apart so that they can see what's inside. And that's it. I don't take the bait. I just show them what's there. That's Heyoka tradition. Being a Heyoka isn't something that's easy. One day you'll be looking at somebody, next time you're in their body. You just poured out your eyes and you up in somebody's whole intestinal system and you're like, what does this feel so uncomfortable? This is a technology of sight, and you gotta train it. You gotta learn how to use it. And no, you're not gonna find that looking at hieroglyphics on the wall. You can walk the journey of Heru, but until you actualize as Heru, you don't know nothing about it. So I want to hear nothing about people. Where did Heru come from? Where did Heru come from? One of my elders, say it. Where did Heru come from? Where did the journey of Heru come from? The mushroom. Baba Kalengi said that this was a technology that was brought back from the hyperdimensional realms. And Kemet is just one part of a 200 million year old civilization, infinitely old civilization, and what was brought back from the hyperdimensional realms to rebuild what we already were doing. So what makes you think that they're the only ones who could do that? Different DNA memory, yet the same truth. Humility, truth, wisdom, honesty, respect, bravery, and love. I don't know, where do we hear that? We like to say that's the hippie shit, right? Indigenous American populations descend from ancient Paleo-Siberian population itself, a combination of an ancient East Asian lineage, which diverged from the other Asian peoples prior to the last glacial maximum. After the Younger Dryas, those were the people who, surviving the Younger Dryas, traveled out. We like to talk about the Lemurians and the Atlanteans and all this other mess. You turn your nose up at Native American art, you're looking at it. You're looking at what was brought back from that time period. You're looking directly at it. We like to glorify 40,000 years ago in Africa. 40,000 years ago in the United States don't make no difference to us. A lot of people say, well, if we're really related to East Asian people, why don't we see no dragons in Native American art? You know, Chief Nighthawk and I, we had something in common. We connected with the Dragon Kings. We actualized as the Dragon Kings. I think I'm over there pouring tea for y'all like it's, you know, it is Sunday, but goddamn, you think this is by accident? Nah. No. Those are our descendants too. No. Those emperors with the Yiming Zoo, it's because some guy over there right now acting a fool with it don't mean nothing. don't mean nothing. Ain't just one black man over there sitting on a bed of jewels. I can tell you the exact coordinates and location where you can go to the beach and find them for free. They wash up on Itoigawa, Japan's coast. They wash up on the coast, Big Sur Beach, California. Jade is 400 million years old. 400 million years old. And the jade that wash up in Japan on the way to China, and the jade that wash up in the mountains of China, that still has the rare earth minerals, and they protect it. The Chinese government doesn't want you to know they got jade that glows, because that jade right there is gonna connect you directly to the source of all power. That's where the Dragon King lives. That's what they call jade. You. Why you? That is the oldest Chinese syllable almost in creation, is the symbol for jade. In Maori tribes that work with mushrooms, they say that's where our ancestors live. That's where they built the tikis, the Teonga, the family, the Wanus. They wear these jade boxes on their neck because they know their ancestors' bones are in there. Going back hundreds of millions of years to the pre-Lemurian times, to the super civilization times. Before we even had quartz crystals. Oh, 4.8 million years old. What you talking about? You're humans who walked, lived, and died, and their bones and iron and nutrients fell to the earth, and the belly of the earth, when the continents moved, were crushed and burned and purified into a nectar of Mother Earth's bosom, colors white, gold, pink, red, yellow, emerging from the womb of the earth as bubbles on the ocean floor. When the earth shakes, they break loose, and through hundreds of thousands of years of polishing and tumbling, they come out as luminous night pearls. They're to light your way home. 2021, researchers data set human footprints, 21,000 and 23,000 years old in New Mexico. A lot of people say, oh, in the Grand Canyon, there's Egyptian stuff, right? Well, you don't have to look that far. The mounds are the oldest known human-made earthworks in the Americas. They could be up to 11,300 years ago. Younger Dryas just ended 11,700 years ago. So 500 years before the Younger Dryas ended in Europe, we have mounds that are shaped like the pyramids popping up. Oh, so they just got that knowledge from where? Because from Africa? No, they got it directly from the hyperdimensional realms in their DNA. It's a mushroom paired with your DNA. That's why certain people now, after thousands of years of domestication and domestic labor and slavery, have lost connection with the ancient history in their DNA, because a lot of it was purposefully bred out of certain European classes. That's why we were subjugated, because we are rulers. It's in our DNA. It's not something we can get away from. We have the quantum intelligence of how, we have the recipe of how to build a pyramid inside our DNA. That's why when you go to the subparticle realms are entangled with your DNA. So you're able to create from that space, because your ancestors create from that space. And so we've got to teach, little brother. We got to teach. Like, well, we don't want to give them the codes. They're going to get them eventually. By 2070, half the world's population will have shared genetics. Talking about transhumanism now. We all going to look alike at some point. It's just bound to happen. If you mad now that your daughter dating a white person, you're going to be real mad later. And everybody's babies are a completely different race and class of society that doesn't have segregation of white, black, Native American ancestors. We're going to be a melting pot. Even in Africa, it's becoming a melting pot. People are like, we're losing our Africanness. Your Africanness is not in the color of your skin. Your Africanness is so much older than your skin tone. You perpetuate colorism when you say that even dark skin is better than light skin. Stop it. This is a quantum war that we're fighting, and you guys are over here comparing swatches like you're some kind of bedroom set. From Egypt to Indiana, the story of Richmond's 2 Egyptian mummies. Sleeping Pharaoh, Lady Ta'an, Joseph Moore Museum, Earlham College. Lady Ta'an was brought to Earl Ham from Egypt in 1889 by Joseph John Mills, a president of the past college. In Indiana, there are many different mounds. I was born in Bloomington, Indiana. A lot of those mounds contain Egyptian artifacts that have been found. And a lot of people think, well, maybe the Egyptians came and brought them here. Yes, but the Egyptians did not come directly from Egypt. The Egyptians traveled all across the globe before getting to the United States. And what they carried with them, they buried in the most sacred of locations. So we see this, we see Ma'at, and we want to glorify Ma'at because there's an ostrich feather, but indigenous people are smart. We don't got ostriches in the United States. There are flora and megafauna that died out here, so we look for the apex predator in the United States. You know why the feather of Ma'at is so powerful? Because the ostrich can move his head 360 degrees around. The crown of Atef has 2 ostrich feathers with a bulbous tip symbolizing a sacred mushroom. And so, you didn't know it was like that. This is Isis. These same feather robes are worn by Lakota and Chickasaw priestesses. Same configuration. We wear feathers. Like, well, I don't believe that you're connected to the knowledge database. It doesn't matter what you believe. It really doesn't. Because we experience it. We have the memories of being Egyptian. Not of Egyptian priests and priesthood. No, we have memories of being Necheru. It's not about where you were born. You're going to get reincarnated infinitely if you don't try to stop this mess. So liberate other human beings who ain't got to come back here to this planet. Right. You can go home and get off this rock. Instead of trying to figure out how to get off this rock, all y'all are focused on how to fight amongst yourself on it. These feathers symbolize something that we don't have for each other. Not really. Your truth means more than my truth. Why? Because you have more experience than me. You ain't got the slightest clue what kind of experiences I have, though. That is respect. If you don't know, then don't act like you know something you don't know. Treat people the way you want to be treated. And if you want your wisdom to be considered valid in the future, then treat somebody else like it's valid because they might have the proof. They might have the key you need. They ain't gonna give it to you because you're just not nice. In the ancient Egyptian world, the Acacea crown was worn by Osiris, the ruler of the underworld. The crown has a tall, bulbous white piece in the center. Between 2 ostrich feathers, the feathers represent truth and justice. This is what you'll encounter in the mushroom. Me and Tell's had some experiences. We call each other during the mushroom trip and be like, did you hear that? Like, yeah. Did you feel that? Yeah. A lot of people don't understand when you go to the underworld, there are villages. There are places where you can hole up under a tree, read a book for a couple 100 years. And then be observing the community and you be like, did you see that? So-and-so going through that. Yeah, I know. I done seen them too. Should we help them? I don't know. I don't think they need our help right now. Like, well, I'm gonna do such and such, person get out. Yeah. Man, I'm feeling so much better. Like, yeah, you feeling good? That's good. Thank you. For what? Oh, I don't know. Okay, well, you're welcome. You let it go like that. I've been jumping dimensions since I started this game 12 years ago. Didn't know what I was doing. Baba Kalindi brought the transdimensional crystals. I thought it was some mess. Year and a half later, me and Tell's Bo were talking about them crystals. Like, man, you been up to the village lately? I'm like, nah, man, I need to go back up there. Yeah, go on up. We got to keep that place clean. We got to keep it nice because we got a whole generation. I am planning to do my best to bring as many of those stones back and put them with their owners as I freaking can because the spirit stones are not only an Egyptian and Lemurian tradition, they're Native American tradition. And the stories of the eon-old stones has been passed down from generation to generation to generation to generation. You use the million-year-old stones in your sweat lodge because when they get hot, they don't crack. They're not porous because they're so tightly wound together from thousands and millions and millions and millions of years, and we put prayers on the rocks, and we sing the songs. I'm a song carrier. I'm not a shaman. Mom said, well, that is shamanism. Like, sure, whatever. There are so many different roles. Telos was a shaman and a medicine man, and he earned that through working in the multiverse with his ancestors and receiving the codes to work on folks on a physical level. If you haven't gotten that kind of permission, I don't know what you're doing. Think that you're going to heal somebody because you're not going to have the support. And when you don't have the support, bad things can happen. We support Telos, and he still left this planet. But I think that was part of his plan, because now it brings peace, to truth, to power. You say that you love this guy and that you respect his tradition, etc. To respect his tradition is to love his tradition. To love his tradition is to learn his tradition. To learn his tradition is to realize it's your very own. You don't love him. You're not studying. Telos stood for studying this stuff. Why? Because the war bonnet is nothing new. That's a crown neckband. We're a house. We are a house. Not gonna give away too much. But yeah, you see that beak in front there? You know what he was making. You should go study his crowns a little closer. He bridged the gap. He figured out how to bring back designs that haven't been worn in over 20,000 years. Since our ancestors came to this continent and settled here and made do with what they had. And if that's not worthy of honor and respect, I don't know what is. Thank you.
That's right. That's right. Yep.
Sanctification again. Very insightful. I was all caught up back there. That kind of concludes our speaker portion of the conference today. And we're going to have Nikki Gong set up for the gong ceremony. We do, for the people that's out of town, Keisha has brought some extra mats, just in case you want to lay down and get comfortable, you're not be laying on the floor. What was I about to say? So I would like for everybody, if the men could like collapse the chairs, and let's throw them back here so that she can move up here, and we'll be out this way. So you can find your spot and all of that. Thank you.